good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Gathering, hosted by SRS Paranormal. Tonight is a very, very special episode because we have us from SRS Paranormal, we have JW Prather of IDC Devices, and we have Medium Skyray. So this is a large portion of the creative force behind the documentary project Field of Fears. So this is the declassified episode where we're going to dive into ITC, how Jay's stuff works, how he's going to wire up the Randolph County Asylum, some of the experiments that we've got planned. We're going to talk about how the mediums are going to work within those experiments. So we have a lot to dive into tonight and a lot to talk about. But before we get into the Field of Fears documentary, we have to take a couple of minutes and we have to say that Sky has a very special announcement today, because today is a very big day for Sky. So Sky, you want to take that away for a few minutes?
Yeah. So today, you guys, is my launch day for my book, Find Your Voice in the Darkness. You can get it on Amazon for 99 cents until midnight tonight, Eastern time. And yeah, I'm excited about it. It's actually bestseller in 3 categories in a few hours today. So I wanted to inspire people and motivate people, but I also wanted to bring people through my own journey through my grief, my loss, and my obstacles through my life. And I kind of did it in a timeline. I couldn't put everything in it. This is my introduction. Definitely have part 1 and part 2. Part 2 is more the paranormal. Matthew, you already read it. Maybe you can share a little bit, with what helped you. I do share a lot of my teachings, in the classes that I do virtually, which Matthew has also been in my class. So yeah, it's exciting. It's an exciting day for me today.
Absolutely.
Too much excitement.
I'm having weird feedback again, Al. I'm sorry. I was going to say that, yes, I have read the book. It is fantastic. It was one of those things that I picked up and I read straight through. And for me, people that know me know that, yes, I like to read, but I read at a snail's pace because I just take my time when I read stuff. But it was excellent. It's from the heart. It is very deep and meaningful, and you can tell that it is very raw and real. And it is from a very deep place in her soul. So if you get the opportunity to get it today for 99 cents, you need to. If you don't get it today, then you need to get it tomorrow or whenever, but you need to get it. And anybody that's interested in her intuitive classes and her mediumship development classes, I strongly urge you to consider taking her classes too. She's a fabulous teacher. She's a wonderful psychic medium and a dear friend. So I can't say enough about her teachings and what she does. So yes, she is fantastic. But I just wanted to take a moment to mention the book launch and tell everybody to get an opportunity to jump on there and get that, because it is a super powerful and emotional book. So if you get a chance to read it. But so for the first part of tonight's show, when we've got a limited amount of time, because Sky and I are actually doing another show when this one's over. Her and I are doing Eerie Voices over on their Facebook when we get done with this one at 9 o'clock tonight. So you can leave right here and jump over there and check that one out if you want. We would encourage you to. So before we get into, since we're going to get into all that, sorry, I got tongue tied. Let's start off with you, JW. Let's start off with what your devices are, how they work, and why your stuff is so unique. And then we'll talk about the project a little bit deeper.
Well, I do things, a little differently than other guys in the field do. Nothing better, nothing worse. Just I approach things a little different. My opinion is there's a lot of very highly qualified ghost box builders in the field. So rather than just building the same old that these other builders are building, I try to go in my own direction. A lot of failures and a few things that were very, successful. But definitely a lot of failures. So, a lot of people will know me by, the IDC Direct Link, which I didn't create that till 2014. My intercom boxes was the first ones I built, what Frank Sumption used to call my Swiss Army knives, because I was trying to build the intercom boxes were spirit boxes in the beginning, but I had laser grids on them and IR lights, and I still do all that. I still build those, but that's what he called my Swiss Army knife. But my thought was, is if I'm going to build a device that I can grab with one hand, I'd like to have as many tools in it as I can when I carry it. Because let's face it, we've got mountains and mountains of cases of equipment. Sometimes you just want to jump out of the truck at a graveyard, cemetery, whatever, you get a feeling you want to go. That was where the intercom box came in. It had a lot of different attachments already on it where you could just grab it and go and do a really quick ghost box session and be able to use what was, already mounted on the box. I started building in 2010, so I've built a lot of different devices over the years. The only ones that have survived is the intercom box and the direct link. And now, of course, I have the IDC Lab, which the IDC Lab, I will be building those for people. My one-offs, the ones that belong to me, is like my IDC Spectro and my IDC intercom system. These are once-in-a-lifetime things that I build that one of its cost. It costs so much to build some of the things I build. There's really no way to mass produce those not that I can mass produce anything, but those are just way too complicated and too expensive for most people to want to purchase something like that. Although I try to put as much stuff out there about those devices. So if other people want to follow and try to build their own, the information's there. All my videos, I talk about how I build it, why I build it. So that gives them information to go on if they want to try to experiment and build their own devices like those. But mine aren't necessarily, they are ITC devices, but they're not necessarily ghost boxes. But they are for, I call them IDC, interdimensional communicators, because I like to say they're for interdimensional communication, since we don't know what we're talking to, whether it's spirits, aliens, ourselves, another investigator's imagination, his subconsciousness, ourselves from another dimension, another being from another. We don't have any idea. So I make mine wide open so I can try to communicate with whatever it is that wants to communicate with me.
Fantastic, Jay. And I think that what's really, is really important to talk about too at your devices is, if you want to talk about them now at this point, kind of what's different. What I think a lot of people hear the term, communication device, ITC, or in your case, IDC, and they automatically assume we're talking about hack checks or sweeping radios, and that they're limited to just that sweep. So maybe it'd be a good time for you to kind of break down why yours are so unique and so different.
Okay, well, my devices, whether it's the direct link or it's the intercom box, either one of those, it is a scanning tuner. It does start with an F-film tuner. The F-film tuners I use, I detune them. I can bring them all the way down to 50 megahertz and all the way up to 149 megahertz, which anybody that listens to the radio, they listen to 99 Rock, whatever. That's 99 megahertz. Most radios start at 85 megahertz and go up to 108. I can start mine as low as 50, go up to 149. I usually start in the just below 85 and around 110 to the max. But I'm also doing it, I'm scanning in a random fashion. And not only is it scanning in a random fashion, the way I do it is a computer always wants to correct itself. And basically my devices have a very small computer in there that does what it's told to do. Just about any radio on the market has the same kind of computer chip in it that does what the manufacturer told it to do. If it was manufactured after, say, 1984 or 1985, the odds are it's digital. And it's got a chip in it that is told what to do. I tell my chip what to do, but I leave it very open for it to do anything else it wants to do. So with mine, they are very loosely made, but a computer wants to correct itself. It does not like chaos. It does not like randomness. So I have to keep hitting it, slapping it in the head to make it go random again. If you let a computer go long enough, it will correct itself. And even though it seems to be random, it will just repeat a random sequence. Mine do not repeat random sequences. I make sure that it will not repeat a random sequence. So I have to force that computer to just keep going random again. Because a lot of people are like, well, how do you make a tuner random? It took me quite a few years. It took me, I would say, about a year and a half of working on to get mine where I wanted it on the direct link. I started in 2013. So it took a while to get it there. So most of your tuners that are out there right now, they scan linear. They go up the dial and they either start back down, or they go up the dial and they start back again. Also, mine scan at 10 kilohertz steps. Most radios scan at 200 kilohertz steps. And the reason for that is, in the real world, you don't want radio stations stepping on each other. So they space them out. So if you had a radio station at 99.5, you won't have another one until 99.7. Well, that's 200 steps that are missed right there. I scan those steps. All right. So when I scan those steps, a regular radio will scan a little over 200 frequencies. Mine will scan a little over 2,000 frequencies. If I drop down to 75 megahertz for our friends in the UK, some of them, if I do it for them, I'll drop down to 75. Those are scanning around 3,600.
Or if you're us and you got lucky in that build cycle, we got one that had the extra frequency range in there.
You did. For whatever reason, I messed up because I probably have 150 codes, but I have those two codes right next to each other. And for whatever reason, I dropped the UK code in yours, but you were fine with it. You just got an extra 1,000 something frequencies.
And you can do that in the next one that you're building for us too, because I like having the extra frequencies. So feel free to use the same code again.
I'm going to do that. And the largest code I have, the largest frequencies is 10,980 frequencies.
That's a lot of frequencies. That's a lot. I mean, and I don't, and I think that's an important distinction now. And I think people need to understand that. I think a lot of people, and I'm not knocking other spirit boxes, because we use other spirit boxes too. And I would never do that, because I just think, you got to use what works for you, and you got to use what works in this situation, because every situation is different. We have different tools in the toolbox. But I do think it is an important distinction as to what those differences are, because a lot of people think too, when they hear, oh, backwards, well, they somehow think they're like scanning things like playing a record backwards, and that's totally incorrect. All you're doing is going backwards in direction of that linear sweep. So I think it's important that people need to understand the difference between that and being random. Your box being random, you could start getting an answer or a communication, and the box might have been at 80.0, and the next time the box is in its cycle, it may be in the 100 or 105, right?
Yes.
So, and then the next time it might be back at 90, and then the next time after that back, if it's in our case, in the mid 70s. So that randomness, in my opinion, really does cut down on that matrixing and that pareidolia issue, because it is coming, that's coming through the box. It's not hitting the same every 43 seconds. It's not hitting 95.9 again. It's maybe hitting something totally different. So to me, I think that helps cut down on that. Plus, I think I don't know if you mentioned it. I was losing audio for a few minutes there. That's why I was over here fiddling, trying to figure out why I lost audio. But I don't know if you mentioned or not, Jay. Did you mention that yours doesn't really lock in hard on radio frequencies either? You actually design them to actually not lock in on radio stations that are super strong. You want to talk about that a bit?
In my code, in the mathematics, there's mathematics in the code. In that mathematics, I have tried to get that tuner to not lock onto a frequency. There is a theory, and I agree with it, that spirits can use audio snippets. But here's the problem with audio snippets is, if you're running in linear and it's just running, you will get a lot of stuff in real time, but you're going to have to go back and listen to it again and again and again and again, and you're going to pull out those other messages. And that's great. That's awesome. However, that's 2 days later, and you're no longer there to continue the conversation. With my direct link or my intercom box, I want more direct radio voices. So I'm trying to limit the radio snippets. Now, I've left it wide open enough that they can force those radio snippets. Should they choose to, they can still do that. But mine scanned from 1.2 seconds is the slowest speed up to about 40 milliseconds. I like running it around 85, 90 milliseconds. In that amount of time, you could scan, in order to get a 3-syllable word, it could actually scan through 10 or 15 stations in order to get a 3-syllable word, but yet you get a 3-syllable word in the same voice over 10 or 15 radio stations. That tells me that's a direct radio voice. And that's what I really gear my devices to. There's also EVPs in there. Well, I'm not going to get into that right now, but there's also EVPs in there that are mixed in. But not just my devices. Any and all of these ghost boxes that these other builders build, they can have those same thing. EVPs, direct radio voices, the audio snippet voices, ghost box voices, if you will. Mine just seemed to break it out a little more because of the way I made it, and I want it like that. You've used mine enough to know it can go dead for 15, 20, 30 minutes, or it may go dead and not say another word the rest of the night.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We've experienced that.
When it's done, it's done. You don't have to go. Now, you can go back and listen to it, see if you got any EVPs or any of that was under the white noise. But when they're done talking, you don't need to go back and review and analyze that for another 3 or 4 hours at your computer. If they had anything else to say, you would have known it.
Absolutely. We've absolutely experienced that on more than one occasion using the box. In fact, when we had Sky with us at the Nickerson Sneed, we had a string of about 15 or 20 minutes. It's where my aunt came through and her dad came through, which was really incredible because in all of my personal years of doing this, I'd never had that happen on a device. I'd never had a relative of mine come through. So that was incredible. And Sky had also been bringing messages from her and also, from her father, who is usually with her. So the fact that we validated that on your device was absolutely incredible because we had been talking about experiencing that and knowing that they were with us. So that was amazing. But not only that, we were doing a public investigation and people from the public were there and they were actually witnessing this happen. And the communication ramped up. We were talking about feeling the energy in the environment. We knew stuff was happening. Sky was connecting with our loved ones, knew they were there. And then wham, as soon as we got all the communication, just as quickly, the energy dropped off. We knew they were gone and your box quit. It was done. It was over. That was it. There was no more communication.
Now, that doesn't mean you might not have picked up another spirit box and another spirit or whoever may have come and started using that spirit box.
Sure.
You never know.
Sure.
So I'm not saying that mine is to replace other spirit boxes. I'm just saying when mine's talking, it's talking, and when it's done, well, she hung up, he hung up, and you have to wait for him to call back.
Absolutely. And we all know this from working in the paranormal for years and years and years. It comes in waves. It's not, we always tell people at our Publix, look, it's not a carnival ride. This is not Dollywood or Disney World. We can't promise you an experience, just as fast as the activity comes, it leaves. And when it's gone, it's gone. And we don't know when and if it's going to return that evening or when it's going to come back around because it's not up to us, right? It's up to them. It's up to spirit. It's up to whatever we're talking to decide to pick the phone back up and talk to us or connect with us on a mediumship level or whatever the case may be. But I just wanted to kind of point that out because exactly what you were saying about how that works, we witnessed it in real time, and having that mediumship validation there as well. We knew that there was nobody left. I mean, we knew that the communication was, that particular part was over. So it was really cool. Hey, Seeker James.
Well, can I tell you a story real quick?
Jump in there. Great, of course.
Okay. So the direct link, there's a lot of stories, and I've told a lot of these stories on different radio shows. But here's one that's very interesting. I was at the Lizzie Borden house, and we'd already done a session with the Ouija board and my direct link, and they had been validating each other. After that, we went up into the attic, and we were trying to make communication like we always do. Just start out with the basic questions, and what we felt was his Hispanic voice came through. My Spanish is a little rusty, but it wasn't the Spanish I'm used to with Tex-Mex from being down in, southern Texas. One of the other people said they were making out some of it. Come to find out his name was Jose Carrera. And we found out some of this information that night. The rest of the information we didn't get till the next day from a historian. This guy was talking to us, okay? And then come to find out it was Portuguese. He was speaking Portuguese. This went on for about 8.5 minutes of this Portuguese. Jose Carrera was his name. Pretty sure, Jose Carrera was his name. He, about 10 months after the murder of Lizzie Borden's parents, he went on trial. He was arrested for killing another woman on the same block with a hatchet.
Wow.
Now, he was never considered, he was a suspect in the original murder case, but he was out of the country at the time. So he did not commit, they do not believe he committed the original crimes, but he did, however, kill a woman with an axe on that block in that area 10 months later, or right around the time that Lizzie Borden's trial started. None of us in that room could have known that. My history is not up. My boxes were not wired to speak Portuguese. So we held a conversation with a man in Portuguese who says he's Jose Carrera, and come to find out there was one on that block, killed a woman with an axe. That's what happened with the direct link. And when you watch the video, there's no other voices coming through. Only his voice is coming through. And we were doing this live. This was a 4-day live feed. The people that were watching, like in the audience right now, they're actually translating it for us in the messages. So we're not telling you what the box is saying. The listeners who are watching us live are translating this for us. So you explain that one.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's absolutely incredible. It's amazing because, even if you can't even, the radio snippet thing doesn't even apply there for people that say it's all radio snippets, because why would there be a Portuguese radio station playing in Massachusetts? It just doesn't make sense. It's not going to happen. And it's not like you were feeding any type of international radio frequencies through there, like some people do with apps and those things. Your boxes aren't programmed that way. So there's no way that could happen. We've had a similar experience, not with ITC, but we were having this communication through dowsing rods, and we were not understanding why the confusion was. So we had somebody that was a little bit mediumistic there, and they said, I believe this is a French spirit. So one of our investigators started typing French into Google Translate and putting the questions out in French, and then we started getting the responses back to answer to the French questions. So it kind of the same thing, just on the Victorian side of the way we work, using some of the Victorian era methods.
Well, it was me, Stacy Brown, Danielle Cabral, and Susan Slaughter. Y'all probably know who they are. So we were all seasoned. None of us were newbies, but we were blown away. This was not what we know, and I created the device, and I was still blown away that this was happening. and I'm watching, happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have to say, with our experience,
Yep,
when I
Susan,
went
it
to
is. That's what I was talking about.
when I went to the Nickerson Sneed, and Matthew and I had that box, Jay. I mean, it validated so much on so many different levels from that whole day's experience. And like what Matthew said, on that level where that was something we weren't able to ever, show any evidence, especially in my world. Like, here I am with Matthew all day long, and I'm like bringing messages in through for him with his loved ones, and they were right there around us during the time that box. I came up from downstairs as soon as I came in that room.
Yep.
It was on. It was amazing.
So
It's an accident. I wish I could take credit for the direct link. It really was an accident. But that's how a lot of these things happen. You have a theory, and by the time it fleshes out, it turns into something different. I mean, I knew what I wanted, but it's kind of way more than I thought it was going to be.
It's a good thing.
Yeah,
It's a good thing.
It's a good
And
thing.
And I think that's another really unique point about the direct link in particular is this part. And I always like to bring this up whenever Jay and I are talking about this, or we're talking about the device anywhere else. That part that makes it the direct link, where you place your finger on there and complete that circuit, is, as somebody who is sensitive, as Sky being a full blown, open to her mediumship abilities, you can feel that. You can feel that just like you can when you're on dowsing rods or a planchette on a spirit board. You can feel that energy coming through you, that channeling, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's like using a digital Ouija board. It literally is, because you're getting that communication coming through us, and it's passing into the device, and we're hearing that audibly, which validates what we are feeling, whoever's holding the box, or in Sky's case, as a medium, what she already knows, her claircognizance, she knows this. And now it's being validated in a real measurable piece of data that people can say, wow, what she just said just came out of the box. So, so talk about that a little bit, Sky, about what it's like as a medium when you get a hold of a device that's unique like that allows your energy to actually pass into it in a digital sense.
I have to say, like, out of everything that I've used, which isn't a lot because I'm not real techie, but for you guys, and especially people like Jay that are building these devices, I mean, this is a breakthrough on a whole different level with the devices in general. I guess, with me being able to experiment with you guys and being able to use that tool to get that tangible evidence, that showed me, I guess, where we're going and where it could go in the field, especially Jay, with you going in and still tinkering. I don't want to say tinkered. That doesn't sound right.
It's tinkering.
You're tinkering, you're updating or upgrading it, as you're
Always.
getting feedback from us. But I really, I'm lost for words. I really am, because that's how blown away I was.
So
It
let me
was
ask you-
It was a year and a half after I created the first one before a medium got a hold of it. She swore up and down it didn't work. All it did was make noises, and it burned her. Well, I said, ma'am, I will replace it, whatever you want. I don't want another one of those. Make me something else. Yes, ma'am. I made her an intercom box and sent it. She sent that one back. And actually, I know exactly. Bill Hauser has that one now in Canada. He's been using it for years, never had a problem. I was like, well, that's weird, because I got it back, went through it, no problems. Fast forward another 3 or 4 months, another medium gets one. Says it feels like holding a hot battery. Didn't like it, don't have nothing to do with it. I'm like, what in the world is going on here? As time went on, certain people's energies either magnify it or just shut it down, or they don't like it. Devin Schreibendecker, I don't remember his father's name. I think it's Steve or Steven. He can't hold one. If he gets near it, it just makes a god awful squelching noise. Devin can hold it in his hand like this. If his father starts doing this, as his hands get close, it blows. It just makes god awful noises. He can't use it. And they sent me a video of that about 8-9 months ago. And I was like, guys, I try to warn you. I tell everybody, they talk to me on the phone before they buy a direct link. Over the years, I realized what a direct link is. So no one gets one until I've explained it to them that if you don't like a Ouija board, you don't want a direct link. Because I can't explain all of it, but I do know there's an energy transfer there that you may or may not like.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that's very important to point out, because I think people don't. This is something we also always say too. People think that, well, and I don't want to get deep on this topic, but this goes along with that. A Ouija board is 1-900-Satan. It's all about intent, guys. It's all about what you intend to do and what you are and how you're communicating and what your protections and grounding and all those things matter. That's all very important. Intention is everything, and what you're trying to do is what's going to drive those interactions. If it feels wrong, don't do it. So if you don't feel comfortable using a spirit board, don't use a spirit board. But by the same token, don't think that just because you use a spirit board is any different than using a spirit box or a tape recorder or a set of dowsing rods. Anytime we're making deliberate contact with these unknown, unseen forces, we're opening the door for whatever comes with that. So that's being responsible, as being a responsible researcher. So, yeah, I think it's important to point that out. But yeah, so let's talk, now that we've kind of established ITC, we've talked about how unique your devices are. We've talked about Sky's book launch today. We've covered a lot of stuff today. Let's talk about Field of Fears. Let's talk about the project, what we're going to do, and kind of let people know kind of what our plan is, and how we're gonna do something that they've never seen before. So I guess, Jay, let's start with you again, and we'll start with kind of how you're planning on wiring up how this would work, basically real quick, what that would look like, so people can understand.
My plan for Field of Fears is to blow their minds. Take everything that I've learned, and learn is not really the right word. Everything all this feedback I've been getting for 10 years on my devices have led up to the IDC, what I call the IDC intercom system. So these stories you just heard me talking about, and all these other stories that have been fed to me and videos that have been sent, all this information has culminated in me building a device called a system called the IDC intercom system. We're going to hardwire that entire 58,000 square foot building with satellite units coming from one IDC device, but going out to 6 different locations, all hardwired with cameras and audio microphones. We're going to be looking for live EVPs, disembodied voices. If a mouse farts, we're going to know it. This thing is super sensitive. FBI, CIA, they'll be jealous. This system is meant to capture anything and everything that happens in that building, but it's all being fed back to my computer in real time, where I'm analyzing it. The entire time the experiments are going on, I'm analyzing it right on my computer screen, and I can see a change in any of the frequencies. I showed it last night on the other show we were on. One little change in those frequencies, and I can stop what everybody's doing, highlight it, listen to it, and I could say, you need to go to room A right now. Right. There is something going on. They're also going to do experiments with tying the direct link into the system. And somebody, Sky, gets to be holding that direct link, and they're going to be hardwired into the entire building. These are the kind of experiments we're going to run. Estes method
Absolutely.
with 6 people
At one time.
at one time.
Yes.
These are the kind of experiments that the intercom system is capable of. There's some videos on my page right now. People can go watch later if they want to really look at how some of it works. And I did go into it, in detail last night. But this system, it's hardwired. It's ready to go. And it is a one-of-a-kind system, hand-built by me for specifically the paranormal. This isn't something, everything I have, everything I build is not something that used to be for that, and I made it this.
Right.
Everything I build from the ground up with the paranormal in mind.
Mike Archer had asked a question if this was the same system you ran at the Conjuring House. So we know the answer is yes. So did you want to touch on that real quick since a viewer asked about that?
Yes, that it is the same system that I ran there. We did do a single Estes method there. We had a lot of luck with the system. We had some really weird things that went on. We actually had some questions that were being answered upstairs before the question was answered. At one point, the spirit box that now Carl Johnson, who's very, very, anybody knows who Carl is, he's tied to that house, I believe, in more ways than one. He is listening. He's holding the direct link. He's tied into the system. The direct link is saying something, but the box upstairs is saying, go to the gate, look at the gate.
Wow.
At the same time, now there's no way that Seth could know it, no way Carl could know it, but Corey and his daughter had just went outside because they'd seen on the cameras that if this was Halloween night, that there was somebody at the gate. They went to tell them this is a private residence, you can't come in. They were trying to come in. So
yeah, wow.
So but the box that Carl is holding, the direct link, it's not saying that, but the box upstairs to Seth is saying that. So these are the kind of things that drive me.
Right. So again, that's the benefit to having the satellite systems, because you knew that box, that particular satellite was saying something different than what was being fed through the entire loop running through the whole house. That's that isolation.
One audio feed. With all of those, think about a surround sound in your house. There's only one audio feed, and then it spreads out to all the other speakers. That's the way this works. We have one audio feed going to all the speakers. The speakers play it into the room. The microphone picks it up and brings it back to the system to be analyzed in real time. What's coming back is not always what went out there. One of these will say something that none of the other 5 locations said, and it'll be, then I have to determine, was it a disembodied voice, was it an EVP, or was it a ghost box voice? Or what, or was it a DRV? Well, the odds are it's not a ghost box voice. We can rule that out, because if it's a ghost box voice, it would have come through all of them, because it would have had to come from the main box. So you can rule that one out right off the bat. So then you got, okay, was it EVP, direct radio voice, or was it a disembodied voice? Then because the microphone's going to not only pick up the microphone's not only going to pick up what's coming out of here, the microphone's going to pick up everything going on in the room.
Right.
So it's picking up EVPs, disembodied voices. If I'm talking, it's going to pick me up, as well as what's coming from here. Now, there's no ghost box in this. There's no tuner. There's no nothing. That's in the main system. This microphone is not supposed to know anything that this don't say, or that somebody else standing in the room don't say, but yet we're getting a lot of things coming back that don't make sense.
Absolutely. So real quick, since we've got about 20 minutes left, I want to talk about some of the other things that we're going to be tying in with this. And one of the things I wanted to really point out that's really important is not only are we doing something that has never, ever been done on the scale. Like I know, Jay, you've used your devices at the setup, the IDC system, the whole system set up at Lizzie Borden's. You've done it at the Conjuring House, done other places. But am I correct that you've never done a place this big
It
before.
did not get used at Lizzie Borden.
Oh, okay.
Was not happy about that.
Sorry,
did
I didn't mean to. I
It
didn't
was,
mean to pick a
it was
stab.
there. It was set up, but it did not get used. Hollywood. But it did get used at the Conjuring House.
Okay.
I've never used it. And it has been set up at the Old Mill during a public event, but during a public event, it doesn't work very well.
Yeah. A lot of contamination.
This is an isolated system. You can't have contamination. It has to be a very controlled environment. It did work very well at the Conjuring House the few times we got to really run it, but we couldn't run it the entire time because it was a live event, people coming in and out. We had the seance. We had so much going on. And that really wasn't, that wasn't my show. That was Nick Gross and Corey Heinzen's show. I was lucky enough to be invited into it. So it did get used, but I didn't get to do everything I wanted to do with it. There's so much more. So I'm really looking forward to using it on such a large scale.
Right. And that's what I was getting at. So not only are we doing something that you've not done yourself on this large scale, we're doing something that I'm going to say that I know it's never been done because no one else builds devices the way you do and no one else has this system. So this has never been done. What we're going to do has never been attempted. No. So we're not only doing that through the ITC side and through the direct voices and the EVPs, but we're also going to be doing controlled experiments. So when I say controlled experiments, groups of people from our team, Sky, Jay, Justin Spurrier from Spurrier Paranormal is also part of this project with us. He will also be on site with us the entire time. We're going to do controlled experiments that link the ITC stuff in, links Jay's system in, and also links in our own unique styles. The things that we do, that we bring to the table on my team is the Victorian era stuff, some of the mediumship stuff, and the classic traditional research coming from what Justin does, what some of our researchers do, the mediumship coming from Sky and our lead psychic, Rhonda. So it's going to be incredible what we're going to be able to do, taking all these different specialties from a group of very experienced researchers from very different paths. It's a very unique blend of people that is going to be doing something that's never truly been attempted before.
This is not the Travel Channel. This is not the Discovery Channel. Nothing against those TV shows. They have an audience, and that's entertainment, and I get that. And they do run some experiments. I'm not taking that away from them.
Right.
But we are going so far off the main street that, it's just what we're going to be doing, what we're going to be attempting. For one thing, I have over $3,000 just building the system. So a lot of people don't have that kind of money. Well, I don't. I sink it in the other stuff, but don't have the where to with to even build that system to try to go. So for those that dream big about these kinds of things, they're going to want to tune in and watch this, because we're going to do something that they dream about doing and that I dream about doing. And I'm going to go do it for all of us. And they're going to get to come along and watch what we're fixing to do, because it's going to be great. It's going to, not every minute of it, because we all know we're realists.
Right.
But there's going to be some things that are going to blow your mind, because every time we use these things, something happens that just blows you away. And you know as well as I do, all it takes is one or two of those, and you're hooked and you're ready to go back again next month or next week or whatever. So that's going to happen.
That's what has us coming back, and it's what keeps us coming back. And I know Al will definitely jump in there on that, because that's what keeps Al coming back, is those moments, those aha moments that, oh wow, he's probably one of our more skeptical guys on our team, but I think he would definitely concur that it is those aha moments that really keep you coming back for more. And we're going to do this in like Jay said, this is serious. We're treating this as serious work, as serious research. We're going to control the environment. We're going to know where everybody is. We're going to debunk every possible thing that we can debunk. We're going to validate as much as we can of the mediumship stuff that those of us that are sensitive get through the environmental changes. And we're going to compile that and put that with the evidence that we gather through the equipment, through the ITC stuff, through Jay's stuff, through all those audio layers. We're going to put all that stuff together, and we're going to try to then compare it to what we know historically and try to match some of that up to the history of the place. And we're going to do this and tell the story of Randolph County Asylum, tell its history, and tell the viewers what happened, and try to make real legitimate contact with what still is there. So I also would like to
tell us their own history.
Yes.
That's what I want. I want to hear them telling me. You've already told you where I plan on sleeping. I've already picked the room that I want. I want to hear what they have to tell me in their own voice of what happened there. What happened to them. I want to hear it from them. We know the history. We're going to try to relive it. I really want to hear it from them.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing. And then we're going to be able to validate that, hopefully, with historical facts. And that's the beauty of this. So we're going to take all those layers, and we're going to do this in an immersive storytelling format. And what I mean by that is we're going to give you the history, we're going to give you our experiences, and then we're going to give you our results, our opinion of what that means to us, why we feel that we have these validations and what that means. And we're going to deliver that to you. And I also think this is a great time to point out two things. This is not being funded by, like Jay said, Travel Channel, Discovery, or some big production house. This is us doing this. We are paying for the production. We are paying for the location. We are paying for all the equipment, all the expense, all the resources. That's why we have the GoFundMe. It is to help us offset the production cost of this in any way that we can. The project is happening no matter what, but I am going to shamelessly beg, if you have $1, like I said last night, if you've got loose change in your cup holder, I tried to say ashtray, but I dated myself. We don't have those in cars anymore. But if you've got loose change, listen, if there's loose change in your cup holder, I need you to take that loose change out. I need you to run over to the bank, get that 43 cents and stick it on the GoFundMe. Because, guys, we need every penny that we can get to fund this. So we really appreciate the support and help. And those of you that follow us on this channel, you know how we work. You know the types of experiments that we do. So now you can imagine taking what we do and the expertise of Jay and ITC, the phenomenal skills of Medium Sky Ray, coupled with Rhonda's incredible skills. And then you put Justin Spurrier, who is a veteran researcher, a guy that has been in the paranormal for many, many years, really good friends with Jay. I haven't met him personally, but I did have the pleasure of talking to him on the phone about this project. He's a legitimate researcher. He's a really, really good dude. So I think what we're going to bring you guys with this project is incredible. And obviously I'm excited about it because I just keep going on about it. But yeah, so share it out.
Stop. Don't forget to tell them about Stop.
Thank you.
For a good cause.
Yes. Stop is, thank you very much, Jay. I did forget about that. And that is a critical part of this. Stop is Dan Allen is who owns Randolph County Asylum. And Dan has a nonprofit called Stop. It's Save the Old Properties. And the purpose of the Stop organization is simply to do that, is to raise funds to put these properties like Randolph County Asylum back to how they were in their heyday and preserve these properties for future generations. And if we don't preserve these historical landmarks, where are us paranormal researchers going to go to expand our field? So raising awareness for this is very, very important to us too. And that's a big part of this. In fact, the part of the documentary will have information about that, and there'll be information on how you can support Stop included in the information with the doc. So look, one other thing I think we should mention, Jay, we talked about it on Paranormal Brew last night, and you guys can jump over there and watch that or see where we posted it from the Paranormal Brew show last night. One of the experiments that I think we should tell them about is where we're going to hook the seance and the people in Estes, how we're going to do that. So one of the things that we tried with Jay's Direct Link was we took a raw copper bracelet, I can't think of the word now, what it is, but anyhow, it's a spiritualist copper bracelet, but it's pure raw copper.
Tibetan?
Tibetan, yes, thank you. a Tibetan copper bracelet, and we actually connected a 3.5 millimeter audio cable to it so that it's got the plug, and then we plugged it into an extension. We ran that into another room outside of the seance circle, and we hooked it up to Jay's direct link the same way where you would put your finger to complete the circuit. So what that did was we took the energy from the seance of all those people connected and we put it into Jay's box. So what we were doing by having somebody in Estes in the other room, what we were getting in a seance circle was being validated in the other room by the person in the Estes method. So they can't hear or see what's happening. They don't know what's being said in the other room. And we don't really know what's being said by the box in the other room. The results from that were fascinating. So that's the type of the experiments that we're going to be doing on top of hardwiring this whole place and doing these never before tried stuff.
It's going to be a 58,000 square foot seance. We're going to have someone at each location hardwired to the system with the seance in one location with the direct link, because I built a special direct link that this is a very special direct link. It will be one of the satellites, but it also has a microphone in it. So when when the seance goes off, not only will this be one of the satellites, it will become part of the system, and the person, Sky probably, will be holding it. That will be where the seance will originate, but everyone will be hardwired into the entire system from the attic all the way to the basement in 6 total locations, 58,000 square foot seance. Say that right.
That's going to be awesome.
I don't know that might not be a world record. That might be the largest seance ever attempted, if you think about it.
That's awesome.
I never really thought about it, if it was the largest or not, but it's a big.
It could be. It's definitely going to be the largest I've ever been part of. Yeah. So super excited. And this is just some of the stuff that we've been talking about and throwing around. Very soon, myself, Al, Rhonda, Sky, Justin, and Jay are going to get together, and we're going to have a creative meeting, and we're really going to march out some of these incredible experiments that we're going to bring to you guys and how we're going to do it. And I guess we'll go ahead and talk about it. But since a big portion of the creative team is right here, maybe should we try to, if we can, do a couple of lives while we're on location and let people see a little sneak peek of what we're doing behind the scenes while we're on location filming this thing?
I already have some ideas. Yeah.
There you go, guys. So there you have it. We'll try to do some lives.
I think Taryn would be highly disappointed if we didn't.
She was begging us last night. She really was. So yeah, I think we should. I think that would be a great idea. As long as we can still focus on what we got to do, so it won't be the primary function, but we'll try to get some in and share with people and see what we're doing. We got about 7 or so minutes left. So what do you guys else want to hit real quick or talk about? Sky, go ahead, hit your book one more time.
Well, I just wanted to say I'm going to give 2 copies, signed copies, to people that share the show tonight.
Awesome. Thank you.
We'll keep track, and we're going to go ahead and send 2 of those out. What I'll do is private message you for your address and send it for helping us. And also, you have to like, share, and donate and follow everybody. And that's the stipulation for the free copy. That's energy exchange. That's
I like it. I like it, Scott. Good job.
It's on sale tonight, guys, on Kindle for 99 cents, only until midnight tonight. And then the paperback will be available in a day or 2, I believe, for $14.99. But the Kindle version $6.99 normally.
Congratulations!
And I just
on your book, by the way.
I just found out I got bestseller in 3 categories. I'm almost.
That's
I
awesome.
think I'm almost at number 1.
That is awesome.
I'm happy.
Yeah. And I'm telling you guys, you've got to read it. And it's something you can seriously sit down and read straight through, because you will not want to put it down. And if you know Sky, it's even more special, I think. I think I'm such good friends with her. it really made me appreciate her even that much more. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I forgot, I have a special, but I don't know if you can see this. My light's really bad. So you guys get like the bonus bundle gift.
there it is.
There's my dad. There he is. So you get 3 meditations that help you ground, center, balance, take your anxiety away. There's one in there you can connect with your loved ones or your guides if you want to go a little bit deeper. It's anything and everything that you probably would need in this time. You know, with everything that's going on in the world, it's crazy out there right now, and we all need to kind of go within, find our peace, find our passion, live our lives, help each other, and you know, let's do this. You know, it's a joint effort. There's no I and we.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And that was the photo of her dad. That is the guy, Jay, that we actually did speak with at the Nickerson Sneed on your device. So,
Yes.
and anybody that watches the trailer for Field of Fears, if you watch the little trailer we put together, that clip is in there where he actually does come through, which was an incredible moment. So I always like to point out how incredible it was.
Voices. That was his voice. Your aunt's voice was there. It was clear. Yes. You could hear that.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
I was blown away. I
love hearing about that. I do.
Yeah,
Matthew and I were holding tears back. I mean, we were choking.
I'm sure.
Our hearts were in our throat, and we just looked at each other. We had a moment, and I'll tell you, it was Jay. That was a gift from you to us.
Yeah, 100%.
I appreciate it.
I'm going to take just a second here. I haven't said anything personally in a couple of months now. A lot of people know my mom passed in December. And what they don't know is they've probably seen my absence from Facebook from my normal things I do. I haven't even been able to build because I didn't know how I was going to handle. I guess it's one thing if you use ITC devices. It's another thing if you're building them and you're just minding your own business at the workbench, and all of a sudden I don't know how I'm going to handle that. So that's why I've had a hard time getting back on the workbench and building the actual devices and listening to them. So I've poured my energy into other things, still in the paranormal. I got to get back to that. I got to get back on that horse. It's just so fresh for me. I don't know if I'm ready. And you don't know how this is going to hit you until after it hits you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't this way when my father passed. So on a personal note, I now kind of feel what other people feel when they're using these boxes. I've never had this. I've been building ITC devices for 10 years, and I've never actually put feelings behind the device. And now all of a sudden, my perspective, I know I'm babbling, but my perspective is different on my box now. Because that personal, I don't know. It's hard to say what I'm trying
and I can say for me personally, having never had experienced that, I mean, I have connected with spirit for years at locations all over the place through devices, through my development of my own abilities, all those things. And I never heard her voice. I know she's with me. I've had mediums, Sky and many others tell me she's with me, but I never heard her voice come through. It was a very, very powerful moment because not only did I know her voice, but I knew in here in my heart of hearts that was 100% her because I know she's with me. So I can totally relate to what you're saying. And she's been gone for 26 years. So that's a long time. Sky lost her dad several years back, and she's with him all the time. She connects with him all the time. And it was still very emotional for her to hear him in real time through that box because it is different, but it's validating and it's wonderful. Yes. But it's wonderful too, because I don't know. I can never feel alone now. Okay. But having heard her, that was a gift to me, Jay, more than I could ever tell you. And Sky's absolutely right. That's such a gift to me that you gave me because I know. I mean, I knew anyway, but I really know now, okay, that, I'm never alone. She's always here. So it's a comforting thing too. So that's a gift you're giving people too, whether you realize it or not.
And I just got to get around this rawness that I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure I will, because like I said, I've heard all these stories for years about the direct link, and it didn't hit me physically until now of what is going on with the device. To me, it was just research. It was my passion. It's what I do. And now all of a sudden it's personal, and I'm having to really kind of navigate my way through this.
I'm sorry for your loss, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Sorry.
sorry.
And like Matthew said, that was something, even though I know I can connect with my own dad, and hear him, see him. I don't do it all the time, but when I do, that was just that little bit more that gave us everything else that I think we were searching for.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I totally get where you're coming from also, because my dad was my best friend. I did everything with my dad. When I lost my dad, I didn't want to live anymore. The reason why I wrote my book was because of what I went through after losing my dad. So I understand on a personal level and a professional level what you're going through, because it put me on the back burner, and I had to heal. I had to heal. There was no way I could do what I'm doing right now and be able to deliver, my full self and gift somebody that, that moment that they need, because I lost that too. So it gets hard. It gets really hard. And I think that's the other part where we all have our own stories to where we got where we're at, but we also came collectively together to help each other where we're going and what we've been through, and come through it together. So it's really important. So I appreciate you, and I thank you for all the hard work you've done in the field you have brought to
Absolutely.
us. You're much appreciated.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Guys, we're about at the end of our time. Sky and I do have another show that we need to get on. I don't know, Jay and Al, do you guys have anything else you want to cover for a few minutes? If you guys want to wrap the show, that's up to you all. But Sky and I do need to go because we have to be on Eerie Voices 2 minutes ago. So,
Okay.
so
I'll just say goodbye to Jay off the air. So we'll talk for a few minutes.
Okay, so you guys are going to stay on the air for a few minutes and talk. That'd be great. So everybody, we're going to wrap the show. We will try before the documentary. If we can get the four of us back together and have another impromptu talk, I would love to, because I think it was a great show. I think the people enjoyed it, and it's another opportunity for us to tell people about what we're doing. But everybody, thank you so much for tuning in tonight to the gathering. We will be back on the 25th, but we may try to squeeze one more in before we do go. If I can work that out with Jay and Sky, I'll talk to them off the air, and we'll see if we can work that out. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We are really excited about this project. We look forward to what we're going to bring to you guys and what it's going to bring to us, because I think it's going to push us as researchers to our limits. We're going to challenge ourselves more than we ever have, and I love it. I love being challenged. So this is super exciting. But guys, have a great night. We are going to get ready to get out of here. We will see you all next week. Thank you so much for tuning into the gathering.
Bye,
Sky
guys.
and Jay, thank you for being here tonight.